It's fucking metal. Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Oops, look, it's both of us on screen. I'm your pharaoh of physical media, Robert Meyer Burnett, and this is Let's Get Physical Media. God, I should never try and sing that. I don't know why I can't sing that. I can sing, I am the very model of a modern major general, but I can't sing that. Don't know why. This is Let's Get Physical Media, your favorite show about the discs that you should be buying, but you're probably not. But that's okay. You don't have to, because we're here to tell you all about them. And you know what? It wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't be a show if your favorite German, if my favorite German, if the world's most favorite German, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland, wasn't here with us today. But he is Mr. Dieter Bastian. Dieter, how are you?
A little late. And Rob, the humidity and the heat here is killing me. But nevertheless, the show must go on. And as a greetings, imagination connoisseurs, Dieter here. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. And welcome to the B&B Motel for Let's Get Physical Media. Rob, I saw on your Instagram page about the storm. Has the storm passed?
No. We've had some, by the way, we're at last I checked, it was 89% humidity here. It feels like you're walking into here's the thing. In Los Angeles, we always want to believe that if we get to experience what the rest of the world goes through all the time, that somehow it's better than or more dangerous or more spectacular than it is anywhere else. It's our first tropical storm warning, and hey, it's been raining. I mean, no, that's not to put. Look, I don't want to. If there's mudslides, obviously we're very vulnerable to inclement weather conditions. The bulk of the hurricane at 8 o'clock this morning was about 200 miles off the coast of San Diego, so it should be, and it was traveling at 25 miles an hour. So you're looking at 4 hours until it hits landfall, I guess, in San Diego. We're not really supposed to get the bulk of it till tonight, but it has been constantly raining since last night, which we need. Southern California needs the rain. Hopefully we can soak up as much water as we can. But you know what's interesting? It does feel mean. There's that movie, The Mean Season. I think Kurt Russell was in that, hurricane weather, whatever. It's like that. You walk outside, it just feels malevolent. It feels like an old one, like a Cthulhu-like presence is in the air, and it's just ready to, their tendrils or tentacles are going to come out of the humid air and drag you under, or something like that. I mean, it feels mean, but, for me, I always thought when I moved to Los Angeles that if the world ended, because it's the city of angels after all, the apocalypse would start in L.A., and I was hoping that I'd have a video camera in my hand. Now we've all got phones, so can you imagine if the apocalypse comes, it's going to be very well documented by everybody with their 4K cell phones, which I'm really happy about. Just make sure you upload it to the web so the rest of the world can watch the end of the world start before it reaches the rest of the planet. Unless it's like a Nicolas Cage knowing thing where it's a solar flare and it all happens kind of at once. In which case, you're not going to have much time to load up your great Instagram videos. But I'm not really I'm not really too worried about it. People have battened down the hatches, and hopefully it's not nearly as bad as people will think. But hey, it's raining. But I will say this: I don't remember ever seeing weather like this in mid-August. I mean, it's only 75 degrees right now, when normally it should be 95 to 100. And so it is quite interesting. And of course, our air conditioning, we have no air conditioning in the house. And that's interesting too. So there's air conditioning in the Raw Observatory, though.
Rob.
Yeah.
25, you live a little bit better. I would
yeah, so it's probably hotter for you. But hey, we're all good. We're all good. By the way, I just want to say right up front, I did not buy any discs this week. I know, right?
Ooh.
I didn't buy any discs this week because I pre-ordered stuff.
Yeah.
And I just, disposable income. Sometimes you just run out of disposable income. So I have no discs this week. I'll have discs next week. But there was a lot of really interesting pre-orders and stuff like that.
Well,
so I apologize. I didn't buy anything this week.
Well, Rob, 5 of my titles really came in yesterday. So really last minute titles. Considering the storm, Rob, is there a storm at the box office with Blue Beetle?
Well, let me tell you, no. The answer to that question is no.
No.
But you know what? I will say this. Do you know what made some money? This is really cool.
Okay.
Old Boy.
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah.
Park Chan-wook's 20-year-old Old Boy that Spike Lee remade.
20 years.
It has made it made $495,000 on 250 screens this weekend for a total cum of 88,000 or 880,000 over 5 days. It's set to cross the 1 million mark this week. So a re-release of 20-year-old Old Boy is going to make $1 million, and that's really cool. You don't really see a lot of re-releases like that make $1 million at the domestic box office, but I think that's pretty cool. And also, I got to give a shout out. Now, I have not seen this movie, but I've seen the trailer for it. I wasn't paying much attention to it, and Chris Gore sent me a tweet. I mean, a DM.
Okay.
No, actually sent me just a text. And I've been friends with Chris Gore for 35 years or whatever, but he doesn't normally send me out texts about movies. And he said to me, he goes, "You got to see this movie." And he goes, "You would love this movie." And the movie is called Landscape with Invisible Hand. That's the name of the movie. Tiffany Haddish is in it. The plot of the movie is aliens have come to Earth. And they have basically monetized our lives, and they watch what happens between us. They watch our lives, our romances, they watch human lives. And it's about, I guess, a teen couple. And Chris said it was very allegorical about what's going on today, but he said it was really, really good. And it is in theaters. And it's playing at 304 theaters right now. And what's interesting is that it was made by Plan B, which is Brad Pitt's company, and Annapurna, which is Megan Ellison's company. So in terms of its production company pedigree, you can't do much better, especially for an indie release. But its marketing has kind of sucked. I would have thought that this would have, obviously the problem with marketing is you have to spend a lot of money. But I'm going to go see this today. I'm going to go see Landscape with Invisible Hand. And I would say for anybody, check it out because it's totally worth seeing. And so go see that. And that's kind of some interesting stuff that is playing. Now, you want to know about the box office. Well, Blue Beetle came in, or it's supposedly going to come in. It's projected to come in at $25 million, which is basically what they projected. Which is not a lot of money for Blue Beetle, but it was going to be a streaming movie. And, people seem to like it. But those are right in the middle of their projections, which is unfortunate. And then the movie Strays, the talking dog movie came out, and that's not exactly burning up the box office charts, which is sort of too bad. So Blue Beetle, $25 million. Barbie, with another $21 million. So Barbie's now made $567.2 million at the domestic box office, which is crazy. Oppenheimer with another $10 million. Yeah. Oppenheimer's passing $700 million worldwide, which means it's going to outgross Interstellar. and that's now at 285 million domestic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at number 4 with 8 million, and it's made 88.1 million domestic. Strays comes in with 8.3 million, which I'm sure is a disappointment. The Meg 2, The Trench, coming in with 7 million, so it's at 66 million. Talk to Me made another 3.1 million, and so that's at 37.3 million. Hooray Horror, Haunted Mansion, 3 million for a 58.8 million total. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning has made 2.72 million this weekend for a domestic cum of 164.6 million. And The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which did not do well at number 10, 2.5 million for a total of 11.3 million. But just bringing up the number 11, Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom at 2.45 million, which has made 177.6 million, which means Sound of Freedom has outgrossed Tom Cruise domestically by $13 million, which
unbelievable,
is crazy.
Yeah.
So there you go, there, buddy. Yo.
Nice. So much more like expected this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend. So nothing really too outside of the realm. And Gran Turismo will start this week in the States because it's already out. Gran Turismo is starting.
Yeah,
this
I believe
week.
that's this week, and people like it. People said it's good.
Yeah.
So Neil Blomkamp coming back. I'm hoping that our boy Neil gets a win. So
And Rob, since you chosen this topic, why don't we dive into it immediately? The big news of this week was, of course, what will be coming out. Unfortunately, it hasn't gotten a release yet here internationally. I hope it will, but at least it's announced for the States what we will get. What do we get, Rob, in October? We finally was waiting for it.
I don't know. What are we getting in October? Okay, I'll tell you what. You want to make it is the headline title of this this show. Yes, sir. We are getting Prey.
Finally.
Yes, 20th Century. And look, this is so odd. We're getting a TV movie. I mean, I know I joke, but still, I mean, so 20th Century, and we're getting a steelbook, is releasing Prey in 4K. I'm happy to have this, and I really love this steelbook art.
Yeah, the artwork is great.
It's great. So I like the movie quite a bit. So 20th Century Fox is, pardon me, I keep saying 20th Century Fox. Bad, Bobby. Bad. It's 20th Century. It's 20th Century Studios, going back to their old name. So 20th Century Studios is finally, I mean, since their acquisition by Disney, honestly, it's the 100th anniversary of Disney. On one hand, I've been bitching and moaning and complaining that the idiots that run all the new releases over at Warner Brothers the domestic team at Warner Brothers bogarts the MGM titles for their 100th anniversary celebration, not the Warner guys in the UK, who are geniuses as far as I'm concerned. And then I don't know why all the people at Warner Brothers just don't consult George Feltenstein. And we'll talk about that because Warner Archive has some cool shit they've announced. But anyway, they've done nothing with the Fox library. They bought 20th Century Fox, turned it back to 20th Century Studios. They have done nothing with their library. Nothing. They could have put out a box set of 4K Planet of the Apes movies. Maybe they're waiting for the new Planet of the Apes that's in production. But as we know, Disney made a concerted effort to not delve into. They used to be a great home video retail or distributor. They did a fine job with Pixar movies, with their Jubilee titles, whatever. Disney used to care. Now, they made the fatal mistake thinking, oh, we're going to put all of our eggs in the streaming basket. Well, how's that worked out for you? Not well. And, Bob Chapek should have known better because he used to run home video, or used to be a big proponent of it back in the aughts. So we've had nothing. There's no 4K of French Connection. William Friedkin's dead. We have no 4K of Patton. So many 20th Century Fox titles. They're making a new Planet of the Apes movie. Where is the new box set of Planet of the Apes movies. I mean, we got our beautiful box set from before, but how can they not put those out? Don't know. Don't understand. They're leaving money on the table. As you know what? I have no sympathy for a company that bitches and moans and complains or watches their stock price plummet, and they've got money they could be both making money by selling physical media and having brand new future-proof transfers on their streaming service, of which they are doing neither. So fuck you, Disney. You know, why are you not? You have the entire. It's so interesting because 20th Century has one of this incredible catalog that is being virtually untapped. And the man who runs 20th Century Studios is one of the smartest and most knowledgeable studio heads that probably is in the modern Hollywood era. Steve Asbell is one of the most knowledgeable people in the world. It has to be incredibly frustrating for him. He's a physical media fan. He's a geek like us. He's even organized screenings for people that work there, showing their library to people so they're educated about what the legacy of 20th Century Studios is. You know, and yet, I mean, if he was, I'm sure if he was given his druthers, they would have a very. By the way, I'll volunteer. You know, I've produced special features for 20th Century Fox titles. I did do X-Men. I did do X-Men 2. Happy to come for a reduced rate and oversee the exploitation of the 20th Century Studios library. Happy to do it for not a lot of money, as long as I get free shit and enough to pay my bills when I'm working for you. I'm just saying, happy to do it. Because obviously they have nobody there who's paying fuck all any attention, which I do not understand. Or at least give it all to a specialty label. You know, Warner Brothers has been giving a lot of titles to Shout. And they gave, like, Shout's putting out Natural Born Killers. They're putting out both versions of that. They've got a number of other movies that aren't horror or genre titles coming out. Maybe, you know, since they're doing Natural Born Killers, you might make the assumption that they might be doing more Oliver Stone Warner Brothers titles, and perhaps you might be right. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but if they were going to do that, maybe they were having a great time with Oliver Stone, and you could look back into what did Oliver Stone make for Warner Brothers, and maybe that's something Shout's going to be doing. I don't know, but they did a fantastic job, even though it's a genre title, with Creepshow. Yeah. That's a great disc. The reversible cover, the transfer is stunning. I mean, it's just incredible to me how the studios are just whatever. Our library, we don't have any money to put out our own movies, so we'll license them out. We'll get a little bit of money and license them out. I'm just what? I don't get it. And then they're not putting out. Well, we have letters. We'll talk about this later. I'm rambling. What am I saying? I don't know.
Yeah, but we were talking about Prey finally.
What's important? Prey is finally coming out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Perhaps, Rob, because of the pirated disc that are floating out there? They would say, let's do the title.
Well, I
finally.
mean, what I don't understand. People don't get. Here's what I don't think studios understand. If something airs, like if you want to get The Mandalorian on Blu-ray, you can, if you know where to look.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want it on your shelf, like, look, there are two, The Empty Man, for instance, David Pryor's The Empty Man. Here is a movie that is a Fox title that fell through the cracks during the transition. The Empty Man is a title I think all horror aficionados would want. David Pryor did all of David Fincher's special features, and this is his first feature film himself. Really, really respectable movie. I really like it. Guess what? I have it on Blu-ray. Did I buy it legitimately? Did I take a train somewhere to get it? Perhaps, you know, I might have. And yet it's amazing to me. Where's Barbarian? Barbarian, another horror title. Why isn't somebody at Disney going, okay, we're not going to put Barbarian out, you know, on physical media? Why don't they call Second Sight, you know, which we're going to talk about later? Call a boutique label. They'll give it all. You'll make. If you're not going to put out Barbarian, which on a $4.5 million production spend, it made over $40 million. the horror audience, they're the target audience. If you made a horror movie, they're the first people that are going to buy the special edition. You know who understands this, and we'll talk about this later too? A24, Umbrella, Second Sight, Scream, Blue Underground, Severin. I mean, how many companies would beg to release these titles? Empty Man or Barbarian, they're just sitting there. Disney doesn't know fuck all. Like, we're not going to put these out. Why? And as I get closer to the end of my life, I'm like, I would like to own these movies. Please put them out.
At least for a short while.
Yeah, man. At least let me touch the matte finish box that Second Sight would make. Yeah. But on the other hand, there are people at studios, good people at studios, that are helping companies like Second Sight, facilitating Second Sight getting the negative for something like The Hitcher. Yeah. You know, so there are, I mean, The Hitcher came from HBO. You wonder, I wonder if there's somebody who works at Warner Brothers that would help a company like Second Sight get their hands on The Hitcher negative. Gosh, there is. There is. And they don't work for modern releases. Although they should. But yeah, I mean, so we've got people out there. Why is Disney not doing this? Why is Disney not re-releasing the Marvel movies in IMAX enhanced and uncompressed Dolby Atmos soundtracks? Why aren't they doing that? I don't know.
And especially considering Prey, the resonance of the movie was very positive. So immediately you would think, okay, the audiences would be there to buy it, you know? It was not that the movie was not well received, you know, and they know the numbers from the streaming, so this was would be an easy title to say, okay.
So they're putting it out. They're putting out Prey,
and especially considering the franchise that Predator is.
Yeah, but my question is, why are you? That's what you're putting out? You're putting out a movie that was on Hulu? Yeah. You know, which is, I'm glad they're doing it, but it's like, okay, that's literally a film you put on streaming. You're not putting out your Star Wars shows. I know the thought is, well, we're trying to get people to come to Disney Plus. Well, okay, they came to Disney Plus. They watched the show. They're not like re-upping their subscriptions. Why don't you put the stuff out on physical media? It's being pirated and sold by other people. You know, you could do a full-blown, I mean, if there was great special features on The Mandalorian discs or on Andor or whatever, the upcoming Ahsoka looks good, people would buy that stuff. I mean, and it's unbelievable to me that they're like, well, we want people to come to our streaming service. Well, how's that working out for you? That's what I'm saying. It's such a, like, I'm looking at these Hollywood companies now, and I'm wondering, okay, you guys had good business. The home video business is still a $2 billion business, and genre titles, science fiction, fantasy, horror, those are the titles that sell the most. And yet, no one's. Why aren't you partaking of that? You have a revenue stream that's going to last for at least another 5 years. A robust revenue stream that you're not. And by the way, whatever money that you spend to remaster these movies in 4K, those remasters are going to live for at least 20 years on your streaming platforms. So why not just do it and, you know, amortize the cost over those 20 years, but put them out now. Make that extra money. I don't get it. Of course, they have to hire people to do it, and they don't have anybody. They don't have any. They've gotten rid of their institutional brain trusts, and I don't know where. Anyway, I don't mean to belabor the point. It's driven me to drink water.
Considering this topic, Rob, we have a little bit of a letter for that kind of topic from Malachi, and he writes, special editions. I have a question for both you, Rob and Dieter. I have 5 movies that I would love on 4K. I am curious which one of the 5 you would pick, and what company, Arrow, Criterion, Shout, Turbine, Kino Lorber, should do the features. The films are, number 1, Planet of the Apes box set 1 to 5. Second, Logan's Run. The third would be the Alien set 1 to 4 on 4K. The fourth one, 2010. And finally, 5, Speed Racer. Thank you, and I hope you have a good day. This is really tough, Malachi, but I would say at first I would go, obviously for me, to the Alien set, but the most we would need would be the second one, and the second one, the Blu-rays were already fine releases for those movies, so I can wait on that a little bit longer. Rob is really looking forward to something like the Planet of the Apes box, but I would
both of those
say
I should point out that both of those are Fox titles.
Exactly.
I mean, they're both 20th century titles. And look, I would love to get Aliens in 4K, but people would bitch and go, it's so grainy. But whatever, as long as it's Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. But I would love to get those. And then the long cut of the assembly cut of Alien 3 could not be in 4K. But that's okay. You have it on Blu-ray. And then, Alien Resurrection, I don't care. It would look better in 4K. So it's always better to have 4K titles. There is talk of Speed Racer, because Speed Racer, again, Speed Racer is kind of a cult title that had compressed sound. It was on a BD50 or it was a BD25. I mean, I think and Warner Brothers is aware that Speed Racer is a title people want. So I've heard talk that that's a possibility in the future. That would be a Warner title. 2010, I would love to get to. Look, I've said why for their 2010's MGM, but Peter Hyams, who directed 2010, before that he directed Outland with Sean Connery, which is another science fiction movie. So Peter Hyams did both of those. Warner Brothers has both of them. Why aren't those remastered in 4K? I don't know, but those would come out from Warner Brothers. Or, give 2010 to Shout. Let them put it out in 4K. As a matter of fact, give both of those movies to Shout. Those are perfect candidates to license to Shout. Those two films, and they would do quite well. 4K remasters of both. I mean, Outland is not the greatest movie in the world, but I really like it, especially because they use the process Introvision that doesn't get used anymore because they don't need it. But Sean Connery's really good in that movie. Francis Sternhagen is good. And, of course, MGM, and this would also be a Shout title, which would sell huge, a 4K remaster of Logan's Run. All of the ones he lists, I want in 4K. All of them.
There you go, Malachi.
They're all movies that I would love, and they would all of those movies would benefit tremendously from 4K releases. And, again, a lot of these companies don't want to take the time to upscale. I mean, it's silly to sort of upscale for a 4K, but to do a new Blu-ray, but they've got the Blu-ray masters. The problem is a lot of the special features, they're not just special feature only versions. The masters they have, the disc that they author the discs from would have old versions. They have to redo the master, the actual disc master, which I think they should do. I mean, make him future-proof. And Planet of the Apes has been a seller always on home video, from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray, and it would sell in 4K. Plus, the other Planet of the Apes movies are available in 4K, I think. Aren't they? Isn't Rise, Dawn, and War available in 4K? Maybe they're not.
I think so, Rob. I think.
But we do have another. Yeah. There is another Planet of the Apes movie coming out, so they could do that in tandem, which they should. They should do or do a huge box set with all 9 movies, or 10 if you want to include Tim Burton's. I mean, you could do a full-on. If you really wanted to, you could do. If you really wanted to, you could include the animated series, which they've done before. You could include the live-action TV series. You could do a full-on ginormous fucking box set of the Planet of the Apes universe, because now we go all the way back to Rise of the Planet of the Apes and just do a whole banger box set. Let the Japanese do it. I'll buy it. Put it out in the UK. I'll buy that. Remember when they put it out it came with Cornelius's head? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The bust? I mean, and it's like, of all the companies, Disney has Planet of the Apes and they're doing nothing with it. But yes, I would want all of those movies. Why don't we have them? It's amazing to me a perennial seller like Logan's Run is not on 4K. By the way, again, Warner Brothers, if they were smart, they would go back. If the people that controlled but they're not, because they don't even know what you're talking about. Them, the giant ant movie with the color title. Why not do what Columbia? I keep saying this, the Columbia classics. Warner Brothers could do box sets of their sci-fi classics and put them all in 4K, put like 12 movies in a box, and they would sell. Like, if you go back and you look into what Warner Brothers controls, stuff like Them, Forbidden Planet, Logan's Run, Outland, 2010, and you think even lesser movies, The Omega Man, Soylent Green. I mean, people would buy these, remaster them, you put 12 in a box. And why aren't they doing that? It's science fiction, fantasy, horror. That's what sells. You do that box set, and you make those movies exclusive to the box set, at least for a couple of years. Where's Forbidden Planet in 4K? Where? Why don't we have it? That movie would look incredible in 4K. I'll bet you that the people that control the titles at Warner Brothers, they don't know. They don't even know what Forbidden Planet is. Them? Wait, you want to put a giant ant monster, ants? You want to do that in 4K? It's black and white. Fuck off. Give me that. I want it. Give it to me in 4K.
Nice. Perhaps we will get it, Rob. Hope springs eternal.
Hey, man, if they let me, if they hired me, hey, Warner Brothers, I'll take over. The UK people, you keep them in place. But whoever's running your catalog, title, your releases, the people they're not doing a good job.
No, certainly not.
Let me team up with all the people that work at Warner Archive. They know what they're doing.
Should I dive into the other letters, Rob, that we got?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Of course, Brian Knight is here, back again. Must buy a 6 CD player for your car. Robert, don't settle for just a single CD player in your car. Put a 6 CD player. I have had a 6 CD in every car I have owned since 1986. RX-7, Chevy Camaro RS, and currently Ford Explorer. The 6 CD player provides 8 hours of non-repeated music, perfect for the road trip between the Napa Valley and either Las Vegas or Palm Springs. First 3 CDs to the Bakersfield exit on Highway 5, and the other 3 CDs to my destination. If it was a suspicious SOP, I would think Essentia shipping must be opening DVD packages and keeping the rare CDs and sell them on the secondary DVD markets. 3 comments in one email. I might have missed your reading of my email asking what is the cutoff at Warner Brothers to put out a movie from Warner Brother Archives or regular Warner Brother media. Is there a cutoff year or other criteria which determines a movie's release? If it's a year, you would think Ben-Hur would be released as an archive movie. Rob, do you know where the line or how they choose what goes to Warner Archive and what is more traditional, just a Warner title release?
I think it probably.
I don't think it's a year thing, Rob, because we have more modern movies like Drunken Master 2. So
yeah, no, I think it's probably it has to do with either box office or I would imagine that's what it is. That there's tiers in terms of the movies are ranked in terms of value, in terms of what they earned at the box office. So there's some kind of metric, because like I love Tequila Sunrise. It wasn't necessarily a particularly, it didn't burn up the box office, but it was a major Warner release in the summer of 1988. Yeah. And it, Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, and Michelle Pfeiffer. But I can't imagine that the people that are taking their top tier A-list movies would ever want to release. I mean, I have the Blu-ray of Tequila Sunrise. I have that, but I really think it has to do with both prestige and box office, I would imagine.
Okay.
And then it's also a money issue. They don't just have money to within a studio. Every division has a budget they have to work under, and to remaster movies is expensive, and then they have to justify within their metrics the expenditure. Like, will they make their money back? And, some of the specialty companies, like I think Warner Archive has a loyal fan base that buys what they put out so they can back into. It's like a soundtrack company. I remember Lucas Kendall would tell me that he knew that because he produced like 200 different soundtrack CDs, he knew that in the world, there are 3,000 people that would buy every single soundtrack that came out. He recently told me that number has changed and it's only 1,000. In the world of 8 billion people, there's only 1,000 people on planet Earth that care about every movie soundtrack that comes out. Because the fact is, movie soundtracks are something you might collect something from Mondo, or you might buy the Picard Season 3 soundtrack on vinyl or something. But, when I was growing up, movie soundtracks were a part of any film fan's collection. Yeah. Nobody buys movie soundtracks anymore, except those 1,000 people. And, if you patronize La La Land Records or something like that, or you buy whatever if they release something. But I used to buy pretty much every major soundtrack, and part of the reason is that soundtracks just are different now. They're not as melodic. They're not as much. A lot of them, like you look at the Hans Zimmer scores for Dune and stuff, great stuff, but it doesn't make for great listening. Not like, say, a John Williams soundtrack would.
Perhaps back in the day, it was a little bit of a replacement because we couldn't buy the movies from. At least we could buy the soundtracks.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. Certainly
at least you already knew the melodies going into the movies.
Yep, for sure.
The second one from Brian Knight. How good is German Löwenbräu? Peter, the reason I ask non-physical media questions is simple. I don't watch Robert's other shows.
What?
At the end of I'm reading this here out loud, Rob. Unbelievable. At the end of last week's show, you mentioned the German beer you were drinking, and it sparked the memory of Löwenbräu beer. Miller Beer brewed Löwenbräu in the United States until 1997. Since then, even the original Löwenbräu beer hasn't been imported into the United States even till today. I loved Löwenbräu Dark. What is your opinion of Löwenbräu? Is it a good beer or an overhyped beer? Well, Brian, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask about the beer taste. This one was really nice, but it is a light one, not from the alcoholic point. It's not the dark. It's a lighter beer from the color. But I don't know about the dark one. But I believe you if you say the dark one is a fine one, a fine brew. Okay, the next one comes from Peter Jakavone, and he writes, "Dear Rob and Dieter, I've been on holiday of sorts, and I returned with a lot of catching up to do. I must say that your June 19th show was, in my opinion, the best show yet. Rob's observation on recent so-called box office failures were insightful. The show and tell was intriguing. Our hosts were in fine form. In fact, they were juiced. What Rob was getting at, in my interpretation, is that there is a tendency in recent screenwriting to present us with conceptions that are half-baked. For examples, Pixar's Elemental. Sometimes the compromise is a defect of the imagination. Sometimes it's a kind of self-defeating anxiety about what the audience needs to see, wants to see, or will accept. This is especially true of family entertainment, but not exclusively. Recently, I got my 4K Predator set from UK, and I saw Predator 2 for the first time. What? Peter, for the first time? There's an example of potentially good concept that is not fully realized, and so ends up feeling compromised, obvious, dumbed down, and lacking in mystery." I just stopped there. Rob, didn't you tell us about even Predator has a longer version?
Yeah, and Predator 2 was significantly edited from what was shot. I've always thought it would be interesting to go back in.
Yeah.
Because that was at the time, that was like Silver Pictures in the 90s, and that was at a time where they wanted movies to be a certain length, and they're like, oh, we have to up the action ante. I think Predator 2 is a movie that could definitely, I don't know if they have the negative, it might be like a Exorcist 3 situation where the negative is kind of lost. Like, why do we need to save this? And it would be great to see that. I would love to see them do a new version of Predator 2. But again, the expense of doing that whenever somebody needs to, people forget that whenever you do something like that, the only way you're going to get the money to do it is if they can show on the analytics that you'll be able to make that money back plus a profit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time with something like Predator 2, there's just not the will. And I would say this, the same thinking compromised your favorite movie, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Exactly.
And also Cutthroat Island. So while Rennie Harlan did not direct Predator 2, I would say that the thinking, it would be, I do think that Cutthroat Island, especially The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which is a movie I really like, and Predator 2, because Predator 2 and Ford Fairlane were kind of done at the same
same time.
And you had the same thinking going on. Both of those movies, because I saw a much longer version of, as I told you, of Ford Fairlane. I think they should both be remastered. But again, those are both Ford Fairlane and Predator 2 are Silver Pictures movies. So who's gonna go in there? And isn't Ford Fairlane Warner Brothers? So
no, it was from 20th Century Fox.
It's Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're both Fox titles. Well, as we know now, who's gonna? It's funny because when I worked for Silver Pictures, they were on the lot at Warner Brothers, so I was just assume. But yeah, so they're both Fox titles, and who's gonna spend the money? You're never gonna get somebody at Disney to be like, if you go, hey, wouldn't it be fun if like we went in and saw if we could reconstruct Predator 2 and the Adventures of Ford Fairlane? They'd look at you like you were out of your mind.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they would. Like, why would you do something like that? Which is unfortunate because I think both of those movies might sell, especially if you put them out under a boutique label and license it.
Yeah, I'm already here.
Oh, I know you are.
Already sold, Rob. Already sold. And Peter Eggermont goes on. Whereas The Flash, with its totally stylized FX, is pretty much exactly what it wants to be. Moving on, I have to say what a fine figure of a man Dieter Bastian is. I mean it metaphorically. In this case, the point is, Dieter is a mensch. In my last letter, I inquired about the German 4K media book of the Charles Bronson movie, Rider in the Rain. Dieter actually bought a media book just so he could tell us about the language and subtitle options. Well, I knew I had to do something in return, and so I have sent a little gift, a gift of a creative nature, of course, in the mail. I sent it to the show's official address in Bettendorf, Iowa. I assume that's where the members always send their creative stuff, liner notes, drawings, etc. And I hope it will eventually make its way to Rob. As for Dieter over in Saarbrücken, I admit I'm at a loss. But here's an idea. I'm currently teaching in China. So if the two of you want to add Shanghai to the itinerary of your upcoming Tango Shalom tour, I will put you up in your own comfortable flat in the suburbs. No jokes, no joke. Anyway, let's keep diving into the hidden corners of European 4K releases. Did you know that there's a German 4K of the Never-Ending Story from Constantine film? Is this the real thing or some kind of upscale? And what's the deal with the Frighteners? I've never seen a super expensive 4K deluxe edition followed by no wide release at all. Here's another conundrum. The Rocky 4K Steelbook, Rocky 4 Steelbook from the UK has only the one 4K disc. So where's the director's cut? By contrast, I thought the new cut was available in 4K in the USA box set, but I don't have either of them, so I can't confirm. Cheers, by the way, I always send a tip with my letters. I go from reverse, Peter. This is strange that Rocky 4, the Steelbook, doesn't contain the director's cut because I only have the box set and it contains the director's cut also. So I don't know if they really, why they didn't put it in the Steelbook. This is strange to me. Considering Frighteners, Turbine has really the exclusive rights for this 4K version. That's probably the reason at the moment you don't see a wide release of the Frighteners worldwide. I own Never-Ending Story, the 4K, but I can't tell you if it's an upscale or a real 4K. I would assume it is from a 4K master, but it's just an assumption from my point of view. And considering you're sending stuff to Bettendorf, Iowa, it's like the end of Raiders, you have this collective stuff that Rob is getting, and at some point, he gets everything from Iowa. If Mike gets around to send the stuff to him.
It's true.
So that's from my end, Peter, on your questions about that points. And glad you liked or bought perhaps Rider on the Ring. Okay, Rob.
Well, yeah, and by the way, he did send a tip, but he just said, hey. Just said, hey.
Oh, okay. So that's
and it does say doctor. It does say doctor. So thank you for the tip. By the way, anybody can send in a tip using the tip feature. It's down below in the description of the show. But I think that what he was saying. I mean, again, we don't have the knowledge isn't there. I think a lot of people just sometimes they don't know things. I don't know where the director's cut of Rocky IV. Did they finish it in 4K? So it's out in 4K, the director's cut?
Yeah, it is in the box set, Rob. It is in the box set. In the box set that I own, but he just bought the steelbook in the UK, and just the steelbook seems to only contain the theatrical version.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't know why that is. That seems odd to me.
Me neither. Okay.
But yeah. Do we have more letters?
One last one from Pedro Ferreira, and he continues on from your member chat, Rob. Hi, Rob and Ida. Okay, straight to the point. I was talking to Rob yesterday about how animated cartoons that don't exist on film could be transferred to HD. Rob felt they were probably stuck on HD if the negatives didn't exist. My expensive solution before Roberto had to cut me off is that these studios should be spending money reanimating the shows from scratch, of course, done professionally, and not like the Garfield incident I previously told you about. It's a pipe dream, however, due to the expense. But what if I imagine a solution to the way it was remastered? I don't think you need to retrace the animation. I was giving this some thought, and then your talk of AI taking over writing and art sparked an idea in my head. With advances in AI, why would it not be possible to take every frame of animation from something and feed it into an AI animation program that copied the frame exactly? The AI program would scan every tiny bit of the frame for shapes, patterns, and color and match them on its program. You would be digitally recreating a frame of animation, and I discovered programs online that using AI and additional frames to animation in between any that might be missing. Now, this wouldn't work for something like Star Trek because that's live action and has a 3D space, but for 2D cell animation, this would be very useful. Ultimately, this would be a more cost-effective process, even it would still cost some money to hire people. You just wouldn't have to spend ages getting people to trace artwork when a computer could handle that all that easily. You wouldn't really need any digital artists on this type of project either. You would mostly need cleanup artists to remove dirt, which the AI tool obviously copied as well. It might take 5 years for advances in AI to quicken and refine the process, but the tools to do this must be out there already, and it's more accurate way to do it than using AI upscaling. From my point, Peter, the only thing I could think of, which Rob already mentioned, is there a market for...
Well, yeah. I mean, what Pedro's saying is Pedro's talking about something that's absolutely true, that they will be able to do. They can actually do that right now. And when it comes to animation, you could you could get rid of the dirt. I mean, you could do it perfectly because you could take each individual frame and AI would just copy the frame. And then you have the successive frames and it can be done. The problem is, like you just said, why? What would be, who's going to, and the thing is, I understand people love everything, but if you're talking about like Gen 1 Transformers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, the question is, who is your audience and why? There's a lot of adults that are nostalgic for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and if they thought that there was money to be made, I can see them doing that. But unless there's a market for it, because even now, young kids, I mean, we see the progression of technology. Are young kids even going to go back and watch the primitive animation of the 80s and 90s? when they can get interesting flash animation or whatever. Like we had the preview of the Scott Pilgrim animated series, and it's kind of got that Titans Go look, whatever, that new flash. I mean, to me, that isn't my preferred form of animation. I mean, it looks cool, but I mean, I would much rather see a Scott Pilgrim done in the style of, Satsume or Your Name or Weathering with You, some kind of anime like that. But you're not going to get that. And so no one's going to spend, I mean, that's again, this is what I fear about movies as well. People are going to look at so much of our cinematic legacy and be like, why would you possibly spend the money and bring out some obscure horror film that was, not great to begin with? Why are you going to spend the money? Who's going to watch it?
And especially anime, Rob, considering Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan, the stuff that you're getting these days with animation, is there really a market for the old stuff? And people are at the moment more into that Japanese animation style.
Well, and the real, I always talk about pop culture having a half-life of 20 years. And I mean, that's true of movies too. And I mean, I hate to say it, and I'll say this again, even though I hate myself for saying it. I recently went back and, I don't know, about a year ago, I watched Dr. No. I'm a huge James Bond fanatic. Dr. No is a very difficult watch for modern audiences.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, as much as it's the first James Bond movie, as much as I enjoy seeing Sean Connery, if somebody said to me, Rob, I want to start watching all the James Bond movies, and if somebody was like 16 or even a kid, I could not recommend watching Dr. No. I could recommend watching From Russia with Love, but Dr. No and I want to say this, I love Dr. No. I grew up with Dr. No. But to try and get somebody from today and go back and watch Dr. No, you'd have to have a lot of context, and if you watch it from an academic point of view, to study it. But just to enjoy a movie, it's really hard. And that's because the technology, especially over the last 40 years post Star Wars, the technology for making movies has exponentially increased, so audiences expect a certain thing. And I don't begrudge I begrudge audiences that don't know the difference between good storytelling and bad storytelling, because storytelling is not reliant upon technology. The writing, the underlying writing, the visuals, whatever. But a great story, you can make a great story compelling with two people in an empty room if you have great writing. And when people say, oh, come on, Rob, well, I'll give you, look at the Twilight Zone episode, 5 characters in search of an exit. There's 5 people in an empty room. And it's compelling. And so people. But I would say, you can't, as much as I'm loath to admit it, I can't expect people to go back. And, I rail about Star Trek. There's people that watch people that are fans of modern Star Trek, they can't get past the way the original Star Trek looks. And they'll say, oh, the special effects are bad, even though at the time they were not. They were state-of-the-art, especially for TV. Optically printed space effects, that was a huge deal. And the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, I was trying to explain to somebody yesterday online, that was one of the most expensive pilots at the time ever produced. It was hugely expensive. And so it's just and no one's going to go back and remaster old cartoons that aren't Disney, that don't have some. If you're looking at, they're just not going to go do it. Unless there's some fanatic who's going to put out a complete box set of something, maybe they would.
Considering 007, perhaps you should recommend, Rob, start somewhere in the middle and then move forward and backwards at the same time.
Well, I would say that if you're going to, for somebody's first Sean Connery James Bond movie, I always recommend From Russia with Love, because it's probably the closest thing to an Ian Fleming novel, and it begins, it has an opening sequence that I think people would find intriguing. So I always tell people to start from Russia with Love, and to go back and watch Dr. No is a curiosity, even though that I feel bad even saying that. I'm like, I'm a terrible human being. But you have to take into account the audiences of today and what they're going to, I was talking to somebody about working in video stores, that I prided myself on being able to tell people what movies they should watch. And I feel the same way today. I would never go back and tell somebody, like I would never go. Somebody on Twitter criticized me yesterday when I joked about I want to reboot the Star Crash universe. And somebody tweeted to me, well, Star Crash was the first movie I ever walked out of. and I'm like, I get what you're saying, but it's interesting because I was being tongue in cheek, but I love Star Crash. I wouldn't recommend it to people. I love it and I can explain why. But when it was interesting that somebody throws back at me like what they're saying is like your taste is in your ass. How can you even suggest Star Crash is any good? And I'm like, you're a douche and have no sense of humor. So whatever. And then when he said the other movies that he walked out of, I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. But you can't expect modern audiences to. You have to pick and choose those battles.
Or just go on Twitter up. Have you seen what the German guy has bought again? That's your kind of taste.
Well, yeah. But that's the whole thing, and that's one of the things that you what you buy, but there's a market for that stuff. Look, Canon Films, their whole business model was based on making Invasion USA with Chuck Norris or Michael Dudikoff and American Ninja, and then they made Stallone movies. I mean, no one but Canon would have made a Stallone arm wrestling movie.
No, definitely
but they did.
Rob, you're already almost an hour in. Should I show some physical media?
Yeah, dude, show some physical media. What did you buy?
What did I get?
I'll live vicariously through you this week.
I got the Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, I have that coming. Yeah. Did you watch it yet?
Animated. Yeah, yesterday. Really fine. Of course, it's geared to the fans of Babylon 5.
Right.
Definitely. You have to get into with the knowledge of the series, but really nice. Even if I would have loved to get more of a live action movie, but this is a really, really nice one, and it comes with some special features, audio commentary, and a little bit of a Babylon 5 Forever, which is about the making of the animated movie. You can get it 4K with the Blu-ray or just the Blu-ray.
I just love that it exists.
Yeah, totally. And from the creator of Babylon 5,
yeah,
J. Michael Straczynski. So what can you ask more? Rob, you got your 4K precious title this year, which was, of course, To Live and Die in L.A. And you already mentioned it, Rob. You took the wind out of my sail again. God damn it, Rob. But I got my 4K that I was really looking forward to. I've got Cutthroat Island, Rob, as a steelbook, finally in 4K.
Wow.
And as always, Rob, the German title is not Cutthroat Island. It is Die Piratenbraut, the Pirate Bride, But what can I say, Rob? What can I say? So I watched it this afternoon. Unfortunately, Rob, my 4K player shuts down again. So I had to switch to the Blu-ray.
Oh.
At the moment, the 4K is actually locked in the 4K player. I hope I can get it to work again. And luckily enough, the Blu-ray is from the 4K master itself.
Oh, that's
and I love that Studio Canal puts in front of it a little bit of a card where the restoration was done, how it was done. So it's always really useful. And Rob, it comes with new special features, which I haven't looked into it. The Adventure of a Lifetime, Chatting the Course, so 2 or 3 new special features. I don't know if they go into the Thinking Carolgo stuff in those special features, but I would hope so. And for me, in the top 3 of Rennie Europe, definitely.
Well, again, when I was working on Superman Returns, I talked to Frank Langella about, like, he was saying how the movie they made is way better than the movie that came out. And that, I think, Cutthroat Island.
I still love this version, Rob.
He was saying that it's just a much better. I would love to see the 2 movies that I would love to see. I'd love to see somebody go in and restore Cutthroat Island and Tombstone. To go do the long. People keep talking about the longer version of Tombstone. Again, Disney, never going to happen. Maybe it will. I don't know. But you need the wherewithal for somebody to do that. But I think those movies could definitely benefit from that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad that you have, I know your love of Rennie, and
Yeah.
for you to
In
get
4K,
something
Rob.
like that.
In 4K. Could you
And
believe
a
it?
German 4K disc. All right.
Yeah. But it is did
Oh,
come
that
out.
I didn't mean to go. I meant to go back to you, not to me.
It did come out, I think, in Australia first, or in Australia and in France. So internationally, here in Europe, it's from Studio Canal, so you will get it probably in more territories. The next one is actually a wrong buy, Rob, because I was thinking the online description is correct, but it wasn't. This movie I stumbled across through a review on a forum. I thought, oh, this movie, what is this movie? And there is a German Blu-ray out, and I already wanted to buy this, and then I saw, oh, in Italy, where the movie came from, there's a 4K, and it didn't say that it has English audio. But then the Amazon website in the UK said there is English audio, so it was a little bit conflicting, and I thought, okay, I took the risk, and unfortunately, there is no English audio, Rob.
Oh.
The movie is called Freaks Out. So this is the Italian one, which comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray, but I already now have ordered the German one, Rob, so I can at least
I don't know
watch
this
it.
movie.
Me neither, Rob. Me neither. I stumbled across through.
Oh, so is this a cat in a bag?
Yeah, it is a cat in the bag, and this is really, really nice here. This is stuff you can see just on the picture. It's a little bit embossed here, so really nice look, and it comes with 4 art cards.
So they were selling this in Amazon UK, and there's no English audio or
no,
English
this
subtitles.
Yeah, Rob. On the Italian website, when you did scroll down, there was the comparison between the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K.
Yeah.
And at the 4K, it said English audio. I thought, okay, let's risk it. But unfortunately, there is no English audio. So the movie, as I understand it, from the language side, isn't Italian and German. Some people are speaking German because there's the swastika here, Rob, So I will get it next week, the German release, and perhaps I will then switch it a little bit audio with the German cover. But nevertheless, I love the cover artwork here. Really, really nice one. The next one I already owned. Help me, I believe the Korean one, but it came out as a 4K here. Speaking of Sound of Freedom and child trafficking, this is not Sound of Freedom, but this is the 4K. Broker.
This is a great movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's really good. Now, where'd you get that? That's a great.
It's the German.
Oh, it is the German. Okay.
Book. Yeah.
Really great movie.
German media book. Yeah. Totally. The German media book, which comes with the movie in 4K. Of course, big book part, and the movie on Blu-ray. So 4K of Broker. Besides Freak Out, Rob, another one which I probably should have done a little bit more research before putting the buy button. Yeah, Rob. Because I forgot that this is not a new movie. It's an old movie that's gotten re-released called Avalon. It's from the director who did Ghost in the Shell, the animated movie. But I thought it was some kind of new movie, but it's actually from, I believe, 2001, something like that. But this is the media book of it. So it looks cool, but I put in the Blu-ray just for a bit. And then I thought, no, the quality is not really looking HD at all. So I have no really idea if the movie was actually perhaps filmed digitally or something like that. And perhaps the most recognizable is probably this one here, because back in the day, the movie came out mostly with this girl on the front as the cover. So this is just a new release of that movie. Let me just see. I think it was from 2001, something around that. But I will dive back into the world of Avalon. So this was a little bit of the first picks. What I have seen, Rob, from I don't know, friend Victor Garcia. I watched The Communion Girl.
Oh yeah, Victor's a friend
really
of
nice,
mine.
Yeah, really nice movie. Totally great sound design. Had a great time with it. It is on Shudder in the States. Somebody wants to give it a look. It plays in the 80s. It is a curse movie. So perhaps nothing particularly new, but really nice done and great sound design. So a really, really good movie from Victor, Rob. The Communion Girl. What I have seen on streaming, Rob, finally, I have to thank HBO Max because they resurrected Rob Warrior.
Yes, they did.
Out for the third season. Really nice comeback. I was a little bit worried after that long break they did between second and the third season because it was cancelled, then renewed, that they would perhaps, it would not feel organically, continue, but they not missed a beat. Really great third season of Warrior. And then I hope after the strike perhaps settled, they will say, okay, green light, force on. Because the show was cancelled after the second season and it was available on HBO Max, and perhaps the streaming numbers were good on the show. Considering the talk is always that Disney is planning in the States to buy Hulu, the good thing about internationally, Rob, that the Hulu stuff is mostly already internationally integrated in Disney Plus. So I could watch the movie Miguel Wants to Fight here on Disney Plus. Just a quick 71 minutes. So it's actually, for me, the movie was a little bit too short, but a really nice, had a really nice time with it. Miguel always stays away from the fights that his friends get into it, and then he decides, okay, I have to chime into it. So really, really nice one, and it is on Hulu in the States. And considering J-Law, Rob, had birthday last week on Tuesday, so it was fitting that her movie, No Hard Feelings, came out digitally on Tuesday. And I watched it again, Rob, for a second time, and I have to say, a really nice uptick for me when I watched it for a second time, because I went into it at the first screening a little bit from the wrong perspective, just from the comedy perspective, Rob. And I perhaps oversaw a little bit of the romantic nature of the movie. And when I watched it the second time, the more the romantic part actually worked a lot better for me than I watched when I watched the movie for the first time. When I watched,
you're just getting it. You just want to see J-Law nude. Come on.
That is part of the course. But for me, really nice second watch. So for me, better with the second watch. No Hard Feelings. Okay. You want to go to super chats?
Yeah, let's do some super chats. There's some people writing in. 200 Watt Studio says, how do you feel about the Strange New Worlds Blu-ray? Well, I'll tell you, it's supposedly coming out in 4K, which is, why is that coming out in 4K, but Picard Season 3 is not? Don't know.
Okay, that's strange.
But par for the course. The Vixter 5001, our favorite in the UK, Vicky in the UK, the Vixter, she was able to acquire Funeral Parade of Roses, the BFI Funeral Parade of Roses was a Japanese film that I just got a hankering. I was like, I don't own this movie. And I was reading an article about how Kubrick borrowed or something elements from this film. And I was like, I'd never seen it before. And it's quite an interesting film about a trans woman in Japan in 1969. 69, dude. So I wanted to buy it, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't find it. And it was available. It was really frustrating. And then the Vixter said, I can get it for you at auction. So let's talk, Vixter, and we can do an exchange. And I'll have you send it to me. A tip that comes from B Depp says, hey, Rob and Dietz, just throwing some support to my absolute favorite show on the channel and YouTube. Rob, it's Depp,
Thank you.
not Deep. Last week you said Deep. I did? It's Depp, like Johnny Depp. Just letting you know. I knew I've been watching Johnny Depp since Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. I knew his last name was Depp. I don't know why I said Deep. So that was a slip of the tongue. That's what she said. I know. Alexander Dukas Alexander Dukas says, "Preach it, Rob. You're the Kissinger of pop culture." Ooh. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know. With Henry Kissinger's track record, I mean, I understand what you mean, and I appreciate it. But looking back at his legacy, but I'll take that. Only Nixon can go to China, kind of a vibe, kind of a thing. I'll take that. I assume you mean from a diplomatic perspective, and I'd love to be. I mean, Henry Kissinger is still alive, isn't he? Let me see. I want to know because he's. I want to talk like Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger is, in fact, he's still alive, and he was from Firth, Germany, dude. He's 100 years old. He's still alive.
Ooh, holy moly!
Henry Kissinger is still alive, so I'll be the Kissinger of pop culture. Andrew Rice says, "Can you tell stories about your X-Men days?" Stories about my X-Men days. Well, I mean, so I was producing. So Bryan Singer really liked what we did, what Carrie David, Dave Parker, and I did for The Usual Suspects special features. That, which, by the way, shout out to Shout, because they put all the special. Or pardon me. Shout out to Kino Lorber for putting all of the special features onto the 4K disc, which was really cool of them. So shout out to Kino Lorber for doing that. So all of our special features, which were never available on Blu-ray, they were only available in 2002. So for 21 years, our special features were gone. And then Kino Lorber resurrected them. So thank you, Kino Lorber. But so Brian was so happy with what we did. It was very funny because I would never get a call from Brian who he would go like, dude, they're going to call you about working on these movies. I would literally just get a call from the studio. And they're like, so you're now working on, we're going to redo, because when X-Men came out in 2000, DVDs were new, and they weren't happy with, they wanted a much more full-blown special edition of X-Men 1. So they were, here. This is a really kind of an interesting story. So they had gone into production on X-Men 2, and they were going to shoot 2 scenes. They were going to shoot 2 scenes. You know what? I'm wondering. Here, hang on. I'm going to let's see. Why don't I make a phone call, and I'll see if
we get the strange message again.
I'll see if someone picks up. Yeah, the strange message. We'll see.
I'm sorry. The person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Yeah, this person doesn't have a voicemail box that's not been set up yet. But if that means their phone's off. But they could have answered the question better than me. But I'll try and answer it. 7S. So they were going to they were going to shoot 2 sequences while they were making X-Men 2 that were going to be put into X-Men 1. And it was going to be the origin of Storm and the origin of Cyclops. Scenes with them as younger characters. And then they were going to re-release X-Men, so that was going to be called X-Men 1.5. Then they ended up not doing that. But they still called the home video release X-Men 1.5.
Yeah,
so
I remember that one. Still have the DVD.
Yeah, I've got the steel books for both X-Men. So we were working on both X-Men 1.5 and X2 at the same time. So I was going back and forth to Vancouver a lot. And I can't tell a lot of stories, but I'll tell one story because it's pretty interesting. So Brian Cox was in X-Men 2. You know, Brian Cox, and his first day of shooting was with Patrick Stewart and his young son, basically Legion, in this room. And so Brian Cox had just come to set. He'd just like flown in. And this was the most baller move I ever saw. So they're shooting this scene, and the scene with them, and Brian just in the middle, he just called the day. Like, you don't on a $100 million movie plus, you don't just end shooting. This was before noon. Brian pulled the plug on the whole day. And I'm just standing there because I was filming some behind the scenes. I'm like, oh my God, you know. because Brian Cox wasn't.
There's some heat.
He wasn't really getting it because he just got to this. He just got there, and he didn't really have a handle on the material yet because he just got to the set. He's working with Patrick Stewart. He's on this gigantic production, and I was like, Brian, oh my God, how can you do that? And he says, Rob, I could spend the whole day shooting this scene, and we wouldn't use it. So what he did was he goes, you can go home go to the hotel for the day, and he went, and I was in his trailer, and he got some tequila, and he goes, I'm going to go to Brian Cox's trailer, and we're going to sit down. I'm going to spend the afternoon talking about the scene. So he knows what I want, because we don't know each other, and we've never met. Sometimes you just can't expect actors. And I was like, really? Really kidding? And he did that. I went home and, hung out in Vancouver. The next day, they picked up where they'd left off. And chef's kiss. I mean, Brian Cox was amazing, but, and I've often thought that that's why because they don't have rehearsal time anymore on big movies. Yeah. And when you come for these, and I thought on one hand, the studio, I'm sure, freaked out. But, Brian was like, we could shoot it and not use it, or I can go talk to Brian, and here you can't expect somebody to walk in on a sequel movie and know what the hell's going on, even if they read the script. I mean, some actors do that, some actors don't. But it was fascinating to see that happen. And, and watching Brian Cox act with Patrick Stewart it was so great. Like, I loved it. It was just like watching, these two great British actors just go at it. And it was so much fun to watch. And Brian was right, Yeah. And that was really interesting. So there's your X-Men 2 story. But it was a good story. And I don't know if I would do that. But in Brian's case, he did it, and I think his instincts were correct. I mean, that was an expensive thing to not shoot, but still, it worked out. So, by the way, if you're thinking of directing movies, don't think you can do that. I'm just saying.
So the first day was a Brian Cox just here for the paycheck day, and then okay, I have to work.
I don't think Brian Cox is that kind of an actor. I just think he was, you have to figure out what's going on. And we were shooting, the movie was shooting in this gigantic, at the time it was new, but it was like it used to be like a Sears fulfillment center. They'd turned into a soundstage. I mean, this place was huge. It was this, and they had built Cerebro in there. They had built Stryker's lab, the Weapon X facility where Wolverine was, underwater, being turned into Weapon X, and all that stuff. It was all the Alkali Lake stuff too, and it was insane. The sets were incredible. It was amazing. So there you go. Alexander Wilson says the USA physical media revenue for Q1 of 2023 was $377 million, which was down 26%. That's about right. The physical media sales have been down about 25% every year. Is there going to be a point where physical media isn't fiscally feasible? Yes. For the studios, I mean, I think in a way we kind of are there. We're teetering on that abyss. Also, another problem is players. Who's manufacturing players? There's a very few high-end players, 4K players being made. And then the bargain basement players that are, why would you want to buy 4K in itself as a premium? Here's the funny thing, like, we love our 4K stuff, but the only way to enjoy 4K really is you need a 4K TV, that's expensive. And you also need, in my mind, a decent sound system.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
unless you have a home theater room, and most people don't care. They don't care. And I understand that. So even though we have the ability to recreate the theatrical experience at home, if you want to use high-end equipment, 4K discs are the best way to enjoy. So as long as they're properly remastered, the films are properly remastered and mixed. Like you put in the 4K disc of Dune, it's insane. Like the picture and sound quality, the Dolby Atmos track of that, it's insane. I mean, it really is. The sound is. I've never heard Dune and Blade Runner 2049 probably have the two best sound mixes I've ever heard in terms of science fiction, fantasy, or horror films. Dune especially, absolutely insane. But if you don't have a 4K player and you don't have a 4K receiver that can play 4K discs, if you don't have any of that stuff, you're not enjoying what's on that disc. And if you look at this week from Media Play News, if you look at the look at this. I mean, look at this percentage. Now, the sales figures for UHD are really dependent on what comes out, because the people that buy UHD, they have everything they want. So whereas DVD, it's much more still in Walmart stores. We know that Walmart might be taking over all of physical media production. So Alexander, we are reaching that, I guess, call it an inflection point where we're going to see right now the studios are already licensing stuff. I mean, Creepshow's a big Warner title. They gave it to Shout.
Yeah.
And they're giving a lot more stuff to Shout because Shout will release it and make more money than Warner. For Warner Brothers, they just won't have their numbers. That's why they're doing that. So it's a bummer. Alexander Wilson goes and says, Robin Dieter, I said a month ago that Barbie was going to open above 150 million domestic and was going to make $1 billion.
You were right.
How did you guys not see it making all that money? What did you all miss? Well, it wasn't us. I mean, to be fair, you were the only person that probably saw that it was going to make $1 billion. I think it's been unexpected.
Lucky guess, Alexander.
No, I mean, look, I wouldn't have expected it to make that much money. I also wouldn't have expected the Barbenheimer phenomenon to happen. I mean, because you also have to look at Oppenheimer making $700 million as well. Certainly,
we're in tandem for both movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors going on. I wouldn't have pegged Barbie to make, because Barbie is a novelty movie, and the fact that it turned out to be more than just a novelty movie, and there's a lot more there than, I mean, I hadn't seen Barbie, so I couldn't have made that. But yes, I will give you full credit for that. You did say that, and you were adamant about it too. But a lot of people didn't. It wasn't like only me or other people. There's a lot of people that didn't. It's a phenomenon, and it's still going on. It's still going on, which I think is great. But it's an anomaly. It's not the norm. But yeah, I mean, I think you'd seen it. I had not seen it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense that you saw it and that's what you got out of it. So, that makes sense. John from New York says, "Hello, gents. Question for you. Why is it that studios, whenever they have a 2-part movie like Dune, they don't put the 2-part movie as a single disc feature? Because I would love a Dune 1 and 2 4K. Well, the obvious answer to that is every movie that's made is its own business, meaning that one movie has a life that lasts for years as a revenue stream. And if you make a Dune 2, it's just like The Empire Strikes Back. They didn't put it on a Star Wars disc. I mean, Empire Strikes Back is its own movie. So Dune 2 is its own movie. I agree with you. I hope they do. Somebody's going to do a really nice box set of both Dune movies. And I would love to see deleted scenes and special features, because the Dune special features are really actually pretty good. And I would love to see that. And somebody will do it. Somebody will make a box set. But they're two very individual, think of them as individual businesses. It might be two sides of it's the individual story. It's one story. It's cut into 2 movies, but each movie is its own separate entity, monetized across many different platforms, whether it's the box office, whether it's SVOD, whether it's cable, whether it's streaming, whether it's physical media. I mean, it's its own movie. So they have to, they're not, even though the story's there, they're both entirely different entities from a business standpoint. So
I misunderstood the question. I was thinking he was meaning putting the 2 movies back together and release it on one disc.
Well, you could do that too. I mean, we did that with the Star Trek episodes. We took the 2-part Star Trek episodes and cut them together as one and released the single discs and put more special features on them. For the Next Generation, we did 5 of those. We did Best of Both Worlds 1 and 2, turned them into the Best of Both Worlds movie that got theatrical. And then we did Redemption, Unification, Chain of Command, And then All Good Things was just released as it originally was before it was split into two for syndication.
But just considering the quality, I wouldn't do that considering the Dune movies.
No, because you want the highest
too low.
bit rate possible.
Yeah.
You want them on 100s, and you want to get the best. Yeah. Doc Civil says, the case for physical media, it makes a great gift. No one wants to look under the tree and see a card with a digital download. That's a stocking gift. Hey, I agree with you. The problem is, you know, it costs money to manufacture and create discs. And ultimately, studios don't want to do that anymore. They want to, these companies want to be able to sell direct to the consumer, and a digital download or streaming is the best way. And by making discs, you have to manufacture discs, and now there's it's a pain in the ass because there's not many disc. I think there's only now one disc replication plant, and it's in Mexico, here in North America.
I don't know where you can.
Yeah, so I mean,
produce.
then you have to create the packaging, and you have to ship them to the retailers. I mean, they don't want to do that, you know. And when you have digital downloads, the question is, and most people look. I think in 25 years, the idea of collecting physical media will be people will laugh. People will laugh.
Agreed.
I mean, they really will. And you're not going to have anything to play your physical media on. No companies will manufacture disc players. You're going to have dudes that are retrofitting your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox X. And then there's going to be people that are buying, you know, they're going to be desperately looking for ribbons or bands for their players so they can spin the discs. I mean, we're really, and look, I want to put away high-end players. I want to buy a few high-end players and keep them in the box just so I can play my discs. I mean, what's really interesting, it seems morbid, but I don't think it's morbid. I think about the fact that if I live to be 80, right? That's 24 years from now. I've been collecting physical media for 43 years, since 1980. That's when I got my first VHS tape. So
at least make the 50, make it round 50, Rob.
Yeah, well,
50 years of
but that's the whole thing. I mean, am I going to be? And I'm only going to be able to enjoy. Let's just assume 80. I'll be lucky to make it that far. But the let's say I do. So from a pragmatic standpoint, I got 24 more years to enjoy all my physical media. When do I stop buying it? Because the collection gets big enough where you have thousands of discs. If you actually calculate how many days left, let's back time it. So there's 365 days times 24. Of those days, how many of them am I going to watch a disc? I mean, I'm sure I don't want to retire. I want to work until I'm dead. So am I going to have enough free time? No. Am I ever going to watch half my discs again? Realistically, am I?
No.
Like, the funny thing is I've got copies of movies that I've never even watched, as you know, watched the discs for.
Yeah. Me too.
And like, you know, for whatever reason, I just went on I watched a French film that I got from Kino Lorber that I hadn't seen the other night. I was like, this sounds intriguing, which it was pretty good. I think it's called Madeline Collins. And then I don't know why, but I'm like, I just had a hankering to watch Interstellar because I read that Oppenheimer was going to outgross Interstellar. And I'm like, I've never seen my 4K disc of Interstellar. So I whipped out the Nolan box set, threw it in, you know, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, I think I'm going to watch Inception too. so you know, and
sometimes you get that hankering for
you know,
a specific kind of movie.
And the thing is, I saw Inception 8 times in the theater, and every time I watch Inception, I have different questions. That's questions.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. But anyway, so it comes right down to it. What was the question? So what about you? Let me ask you the same question.
Considering Dune and the release.
Yeah, and it was also gifts. You know, gifts under the tree. So we're in, and what's going to happen, unfortunately, is as the years pass, a lot of our cinematic legacy it's going to get to the point where its value, I mean, it'll always have value to academics, and it'll always have a certain value to a small percentage of the population. But how much of our cinematic legacy is going to last 100, 200, 300 years into the future? And if it is going to last that long, how is it going to last that long? Is it going to be stored digitally? You know, right now there's a real problem with film preservation because still the best way to preserve film is to save it on celluloid. So what you do is you do a color separation. You break it into, what is it, RGB, at red, green, blue, on individual like black and white color separation masters. So you have one movie gets turned into 3 different celluloid colors, and that's how you preserve a film. But what about all the movies that don't even have negative? Like, there's no cut negative of Tango Shalom. It was shot digitally. Yeah. Will Tango Shalom exist in 100 years? Because you're going to have to keep upgrading. Like, the file was made, you know, the final file was made 2 years ago. Well, in 100 years, are those files going to be viable? How are they going to be stored? On glass? You know, they've got, I mean, it's a real question. So you wonder, and all the movies, I mean, we lost half the movies that were made in the silent era already. So the real question is, you know, I love the fact that I have Massacre at Central High. And so do you if I said it to you. I love the fact, but who's going to want that in 100 years? How are you going to justify, how are you going to justify?
We have to time travel, Rob, to find out.
I don't know
what is up in 100
I won't be here anymore. I hope somebody, you know, that's why if I won the lottery, if I won that $1 billion lottery, I personally would spend, like, if I won that $1 billion, I would spend $100 million and set up a state-of-the-art facility, the Robert Meyer Burnett genre film, whatever, call it what you want, research facility. And I would get and I would do that. I would have all of these movies scanned and get them all scanned, and the ones that are already in 4K, put that data on glass or whatever would be best preserved. Or maybe on wood, like if you Blade Runner 2049, you know, those wood balls you can find at Wallace, you know, Narendra Wallace, whatever his name was, Jared Leto's place. Anyway, Alexander Wilson goes on to say the Pixar president said that the only way they can lower the budget on their movies is to offshore them. They are the only organization that has their animation exclusively working in America. Thoughts? Well, I mean, okay. That is just par for the course. I mean, the United States has a certain standard of living, and the people that work for Pixar really know their jobs, but there are animators around the world that are really, really good. And I mean, that's a real whether those animators are going to be kept on or whether they're going to be replaced by AI. Again, that's just the world that we live in. I mean, do I think that we should offshore jobs? No, but our standard of living is one of the highest in the world. And when you have countries that you can get the work done for half price, it's academic. The real question is, how do we as Americans justify our way of life? When our way of life, when the world comes, when you can get stuff done half price, why wouldn't you? I mean, that's the real question. And
it still baffles me that a Pixar movie can cost $200 million.
Well, it's because of the time. You know, a Pixar movie can take 4 or 5 years in development because you've got people that are still, you have editors working on, like Pixar movies, they go through many, many iterations. It's not like a movie where you write a script and you just make the script that you've written. Pixar movies, they rework them and rework them and rework them. They redo voiceover. They can watch it as they're making it. They can be like, well, this works, but we can make it work better. So then they reanimate and they rewrite and they get the movies down to where they're very iterative. The process is very iterative. And you have how many people working on them? You know, you've got a lot of people there. There's an army of people working on them, and they're all part of the Pixar pipeline. And because a lot of them have been there for a long time, they get paid a lot of money to do what they do. And I'm sure that, unfortunately, a company like Pixar, they're no longer a guaranteed moneymaker for Disney, they have to justify the expense of these films. And I think that this is, you know, again, these are questions that we're going to be asking ourselves a lot more across many different industries as AI gets involved and as animation. I mean, there's places around the world that have been doing animation for longer than the United States has that does great work. They just have different styles. So, I don't know. Alexander Wilson goes on to say, also he said that Pixar doesn't have a traditional budget and they write executive salaries into their movie budget. They only get paid when they make movies. Is anyone else like that? Well, anybody who's making movies only gets paid when they make movies. If you're a filmmaker, you only get paid when you're making a movie. It's interesting that they have their executive salaries written into the films. I mean, that would be interesting to see. That means their executive salaries are based on how many movies they're making. That's not true of the major motion picture studios or corporate interests either. People get paid a standard fee. I don't think any executive at a company would ever tie their direct salary, even though it is through stock price and all that. But if you were an executive, if you were running Warner Brothers, I don't think, like James Gunn, would you take your salary based on the DC movies? Because you don't necessarily always have, look what Disney, if your salary is based, I mean, it's part of the budget of the movie. That's an interesting way to do that. I didn't know that was the case. Interesting. Roberto Suarez says, before the home video era, soundtracks were a way to revisit a film in our imagination.
Exactly.
The Flash Gordon soundtrack was perfectly suited for this.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that too. 5.toast. 5.toast is a very generous member of the channel. Send in a $20 tip. This is actually a really good point. This is a really good point he's making. Cheers, Robin Dietz. I have an unusual opinion. 2K upscales on 4K are the only way to get the full color resolution of the 2K film as it appeared in theaters due to color subsampling, 420 on 4K and standard Blu-ray. Does this ring true for y'all? Well, okay. I would say theoretically you're correct, but I think it really depends on the original material. Because some movies are shot, in 4K, but the effects for the longest time were finished in 2K. So it's kind of odd, but I would say for the most part, this is something I'd have to say that technically I would have to delve into this more, but I would say what you're saying is rather sound, because it's, again, a lot of the Marvel movies that we get in 4K were originally finished in 2K. Lord of the Rings was finished in 2K, but then sometimes they'll go back and they'll resample things, or they will re-render VFX at higher resolutions. I mean, it's all very, but I would say that, if you just say the standard, hang on. Hello, sir. Are you there? Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can get him back. Hello, sir.
No. Hey.
I have a question for you. We're doing our physical media show right now on YouTube, and I wanted to be clear because I had a friend who had an X-Men 1.5 question. Mm-hmm. And I figured I would call and ask you. So when you were doing X-Men 2, there was thought that you were going to add 2 scenes to the original X-Men. And that's why they called it X-Men 1.5. And if I remember, it was Storm and Cyclops that you were going to do origin scenes with?
Yes.
So how come that...
The origin scenes, I was going to be... I was going to put Storm in Africa and a village, and she makes it hail and destroys the village, and then Cyclops has the incident which we eventually shot in Apocalypse.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. So why did you end up not doing that for X-Men 2?
It was just too much. It was too long and unnecessary. It was just the White House opening was just so riveting with the attack. The origin stories were just like, okay, let's just move on with the plot.
Right.
It was a lot.
Yeah, because people had asked. I was reminiscing about doing X-Men 1.5 and X-Men 2, the DVD special features and stuff. So
Yeah.
and that was fun.
Yeah.
Going back and forth.
Oh yeah, and we were talking. I quietly, just between us, I've made a film.
Well, wait! Don't say anything. Don't say anything. No! Don't say that now. Don't say that. Keep everything. No. Yeah, don't say that.
Okay.
I know what you were going to say, but were you going to say something about X-Men?
We were just. I was talking with this gentleman last night. It was actually in Jason. We were talking about how the frustration with streaming is that since people now consume movies with streaming, the special features are less available or required,
or they get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, they're not just done because there's no DVDs because of this. So for people who are hungry for that background and for that knowledge, they just don't get it anymore because it's not required for the streaming.
Well,
so it was just something.
Well, that's how we were talking. Kino Lorber released Usual Suspects on 4K, which, by the way, is stunning. And they went back and they found all of our original MGM special features that I did for you, and they hadn't been available on any Blu-ray that was released. And Kino Lorber found them, they upscaled them, and they put them on the disc. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's really great. And that disc is spectacular. They did. I guess Tom must have supervised the transfer because it looks absolutely spectacular.
I haven't seen it in a while. I gotta run it in the screening room some night.
Well, they can always bring it over.
That version. Yeah.
Well, listen, that was the question that I wanted to ask you, just to keep that story straight. But that's interesting. And then you put the thing back in Apocalypse. All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah. In Apocalypse, there's a scene with Cyclops who gets frustrated in school and with his eyes, and then ends up running to the back and. Gets bullied and his eyes go off.
Yeah. Well, listen, I will let you go. I want to talk to you further.
Sure.
But thank you for calling me back, dude.
Sure, man. Anytime.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth. There you have it. For those of you who don't know, that was director Bryan Singer answering the question about X-Men. Come on. What other physical media show on YouTube can you get the director of 4 X-Men movies to call you back? There you go.
Awesome.
So, and that's 5 Dot Toast. I should have asked him actually about this question. Yeah, so interesting. But that's a good question. Alexander Wilson says, did you all finishing watching the best show on TV this year called The Bear? The last 5 episodes of season 2 was amazing storytelling. I have not. I keep hearing that. Everybody keeps asking me to finish it. But yes. Oh my God. Irene Jobson says.
Ooh, Irene.
Irene says, I just wanted to let you know that Cutthroat Island is when you give a blowjob with a sore throat. Don't forget to swallow. This is why we love Irene. And she has her mom channel on Instagram. I'd never heard that before. Did you just make that up, Irene? God bless you. Admiral Terrier Tiberius Mork says, I've seen the 4K restoration of The Wicker Man. Terrier went and saw The Wicker Man in the theater. The new restoration in Norway the other day. So he saw it. I've seen the 4K restoration of The Wicker Man, and I will be buying it. Still a flawed print with several sources, but a great improvement in sharpness, resolution, and the HDR makes a big difference. Yeah, I mean, it is true that The Wicker Man has many different sources, so yeah.
Okay.
Alexander Dukas says, Rob, our collectibles and CD series films are us. Maybe we should do that. Films are I like that. And Alexander goes on to say, the R&B film master Restore, Preserve, Film Vault. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. I like that. That's a good one. Ron C. says, hello, Rob and Dieter. Born in 69. Yes, 69. Family trip to Lake Tahoe, and my sister and I walked into the wrong theater room. Not The Secret of Nim, but The Beast Within. The horror stayed in my mind for many years. Oscar award effects. A 4K possible. The Beast Within's a good one. Paul Clements starred in that movie, I believe. I kind of like The Beast Within. It had some great transformation stuff in it. I'm sure somebody will put that out. Scream Factory, Shout Factory, or something. Yeah.
I don't know from which company the Beast Within was.
I don't know.
Even.
So we are caught up on special
Okay.
on super chats, but you can still fire them in if you want. You never know. You never know where this show's going to go.
Never. So where do we go, Rob? Should I show the last stuff that I got?
Yeah, show us what you got, buddy.
Okay.
Show us.
Last 4 titles, Rob. First one from Korea, the movie Hunt.
Ooh, look at that.
It is directed, I don't know the name from the top of my head, from the main actor from Squid Game. This is his directorial debut. Hunt, nice action thriller from the 80s. Once again, North Korea, South Korea, some kerfuffle there.
By the way, I wanted to point out that Ron C. did give us a $50 super chat. It was a $50 super chat about the Beast Within. So while you're talking about this, I'm going to go look into the Beast Within history and find out where it's at. Yeah. So keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So Hunt from South Korea, great action thriller. Then the next one, which unfortunately wasn't in 4K, in the box, I got The Enter the Dragon. Just a normal, because I totally dug the cover. So the question that Rob asked, will I change the disc out in the set? I haven't decided, because I like the cover, Rob. Would be probably easier if the cover weren't that great. And strangely, the only thing that I detected, Rob, is the Blu-ray version comes with the 18 logo, and the new 4K is 15. So I don't know if the BBFC has done a new rating for the movie. No idea. So 4K for Enter the Dragon. Rob, I saw the end of Midnight Musing, and you said you have no purchase this week, but you will probably be sure that Dieter has some title where you will go, why did he buy that? And Rob, here comes this title. It is probably the worst action movie I've ever seen, Rob. At least in the top of this game. Yeah. I know some editor in Hollywood, Rob, called Robert Meyer Burnett. If I would give him this movie and says, Bobby, can you help me out? This is the footage that we have. Can you make it from a bad one into at least slightly mediocre one? Bobby would watch the film and would say to me, burn it to the ground. The only thing that I can do from this movie is perhaps a little sizzle reel about Rachel Cook looking fine. Rob, the movie is called Killshot. This was not so bad, it's good. This was just bad. Especially for Europe, who loves those long drone shots, the drone shots
God.
You hate the drone shots, Rob. That you would immediately cut down. Then you had ADR from hell, Rob. Thanks to Nolan, even if you don't understand the dialogue always, thanks to Nolan to not do ADR stuff. This was just atrocious. And the action, Rob, I can't even describe it, how bad this movie. So 2 out of 10, the only 2 points that the movie gets is Rachel Cook is easy on the eyes. And okay, the location shots, the location is pretty decent in the movie. So I bought it, Rob, because I thought, look at the cover. Oh, could be a nice action movie. And it comes from Velgo USA. And
they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. They put out nice Korean action stuff. So it's not a grindstone title, from Lionsgate, the direct-to-TV title. And it didn't have a Rotten Tomato score yet, so it was even more a cat in the bag, But I'm just here to say, people, this is not worth your time. Kill shot. And even Bobby can't make this movie into a mediocre movie. It's not possible, Rob. It's not possible. And the last one of my favorite movies is Drive with Mark Dacascos, who was actually in Warrior Season 3, had a little role, and Kadeem Hardison. And I didn't even know about this movie. They did a second one, had nothing to do with Drive. So Cat in the Bag, but I haven't watched it. It's called Instinct to Kill with Mark and Kadeem. Didn't know they did a second one. It says it has a new transfer. The only strange thing, if the cover technical specs are right, it's only in mono. So only mono sound for a movie that is from 2000. This is a little bit bizarre to me. So Instinct to Kill. Those were my... So two kill stuff, but this one was not unexpected, Rob. So this was my purchases.
Well, at least you didn't let me down.
No.
Listen,
I heard at midnight music and I thought, wait, I've got the title. That you ask yourself, why did he buy it? Why did he buy it?
well, you didn't know, but you didn't know. See, if you'd seen it and it was terrible, then I would ask you why you bought it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you didn't know. There's a cat in the bag.
Yeah, totally. Because, of course, I do a little bit of research. Is there Rotten Tomato scores? How is the movie doing on IMDb? But it was just getting released, so there was no handle on it. And since I stay away from trailers, I thought, okay, looks decent enough. It's from Velgo USA. It's not from Lionsgate, so it's not a grind. And at the beginning, Rob, I was really hopeful because there was not, 50 production companies, which is always, too much cooks in the kitchen. So I was, but even after the 5 minutes, I knew I was in bad territory after the first 5 minutes.
Oh, that's a bummer. By the way, I did some quick research for Ron C.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
there's 3 Blu-rays that you can get for Beast Within. There might be more, but here is the Arrow Blu-ray, cool cover. There's the Arrow cover, and then there is a foreign release, Con la Bestia. I can't read that, but this looks like it's a Spanish release. And then there is the Scream Factory release, which is this. So these are all Blu-rays, but they are available. I don't know if we're ever going to see The Beast Within in 4K. I don't know if it was originally mastered in 4K.
Now I remember, Rob. I believe the German title, I could be wrong, but I think the German title were Das Engelsgesicht, the angel face. But I could be wrong, Rob. Because I've seen the first cover and I remember the jacket. I believe the German title was Das Engelsgesicht, but I could be wrong about that. I have to do my research too about the title.
All right. Well, I just thought Ron C. being generous to the show. I wanted to do a little research, but you know what? I never thought we would see a 4K of Motel Hell either. Motel Hell. I own Motel Hell in 4K. And it takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters. And I never thought, and it looks great. Who would have thought The Burning in 4K?
Yeah.
Bruh, come on. That's amazing. So you want to see what's coming?
Yeah. Besides Prey, Rob, what have you picked out for us?
Okay, a lot of Prey. There's a lot of cool stuff. Now this is really interesting. So Talk to Me, the recent horror film that just came out, is an Australian movie. Yeah. So we have 2. This is amazing. Okay, this is crazy. Now, A24 that released it in America is doing a special edition through their store. But here's what Umbrella is putting out. This is the Umbrella version. They're putting out the hand that's in the movie that you have to shake hands with. Yeah. And in the movie, you have to write on the hand. You have to write Talk to Me on the hand. Yeah. It comes with a paint pen. So everybody can, so you can put this in your home theater room, and everybody who comes, I guess, to watch Talk to Me, they can either write their name on the movie or on the hand. But now I've heard, and this is pretty badass. So I've heard that the A24 version is also going to come with a hand, but it's going to be a replica of what's the hand in the movie, and all the writing that's on the hand, they're going to replicate that hand. But I kind of like the interactive nature of umbrellas, where you can shake the hand and then write your name, or just write "talk to me" or whatever. And either way,
perhaps a little bit too close to the movie, bro.
it might be a little. You never know what's going to happen once you've done that. But what's cool is, though, I mean, the brothers are Australian, so maybe you have to buy the, or just do what I do and buy both. You don't have to make a choice. Now, speaking of Umbrella, another choice, we've said before that they're putting out Zulewski's Possession is coming out, but it came out this week that our beloved Second Sight is also putting out Possession. Now, the one thing about Second Sight that cannot be undersold is when Second Sight, so don't be surprised if you see movies, when we talk about Second Sight's releasing something like the Changeling. They put out Changeling, right? So Severin did the Blu-ray of Changeling, and then they released the 4K of Changeling before Second Sight got to release their version, before they did their box set. However, Second Sight also takes time, and they go in and they retime the movie. And usually with somebody that worked on the film. So Robert Eggers was never happy with how The Witch looked on home video. But when Second Sight got their hands on The Witch, they were able to work with Robert Eggers and get the print to look exactly like he wanted. So Robert Eggers' only really approved version of The Witch, the director, on 4K, is the Second Sight version. Now, Second Sight, we've talked about them working on The Hitcher. Now, they may or may not have a deal where another company might get to release The Hitcher before they do. And they might be but Second Sight, you're not going to get the box, you're not going to get the book, you're not going to get whatever Second Sight does. You're going to get a standard vanilla release, but so Second Sight's version of The Hitcher is still going to be the definitive version of The Hitcher. So I will wait and get the Second Sight version. Now, Umbrella, that we just showed there, Umbrella is also releasing Possession, and so is Second Sight. But since I like Umbrella, I'm almost inclined to buy both.
You always get an email from Second Sight if a release is postponed a little bit, you know?
Yeah. So
I can't remember a replacement program considering the Second Sight.
By the way, you're suddenly, the hurricane. I did get an email from my Spectrum, my internet company, saying that service might be interrupted because of the hurricane. And since we've been sitting here doing the show, it started to really rain outside. Okay. So, and I've noticed your picture just suddenly got bad. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I'm just saying. So anyway, so Second Sight is putting out Possession, which is very cool, and I will order it. Kino Lorber, our beloved Kino Lorber. Look at this. On Blu-ray, all 7 seasons of Columbo from the 70s. Not the TV movies they did in the 80s, but all 7 seasons on Blu-ray. Tom Jr. Jackson recently bought me the DVDs of all the Columbo episodes.
I remember that.
But Kino Lorber putting out, and look at that really cool painted cover.
Yeah.
I mean, go Kino Lorber, putting out Columbo, the entire 7 seasons of the show. You got to get that, which is really exciting. So that's coming out. And then, not to be outdone, Memories. We got The Way We Were. Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford, one of the great tragic romances, 50th anniversary edition. Colored pictures. I mean, hey, there we go. The Way We Were. If you're into this, and by the way, I grew up, in a Jewish household. It's like every Jewish father that I knew was in love with Barbra Streisand. I was like, okay, I don't get it, but fine. So, they all love this movie. I had to grow up with this movie. It's actually a good movie. But hey, it's coming out in 4K. Did I lose you? Oh no, you're still there.
Yeah, a little bit frozen. It looks like.
Yeah, you're a little. I wonder why. And I'm seeing you on the incoming line. Maybe it has something to do with the international. They're choking off because the hurricane is here. I don't know. So I'll speed it up. So Warner Archive has some interesting, rather than just doing some classics, they got some new movies. Palmetto with Woody Harrelson, Gina Gershon, and Elizabeth Shue coming out. I like this movie when I saw it. This is like late 90s? 90s? Was it late 90s? So, again, as we talked about, Warner Archive moving into more modern stuff. They're putting that out. They're also putting out Julian Schnabel's film, Before Night Falls, with Javier Bardem, who plays a Cuban artist. I remember seeing this and really liking this. So, only Warner Archive would put this out. Julian Schnabel's movie, that's pretty cool to get that. They're also putting out the animated film Cats Don't Dance. So Warner Archive, that's been on the classic tip from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, they're dipping into more modern films, which is cool. But not to be outdone, they're also putting out classic stuff. They're putting out Christopher Strong, which stars Katharine Hepburn. And they're also putting out Westward the Women, the big MGM spectacle. And, if the women are going westward, I'll follow. So there you go. So that's what's coming out from Warner Archive. Criterion dropping some heat for November. Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets in 4K. What a great cover, by the way. You go, Criterion. They're putting out The Last Picture Show. Peter Bogdanovich's The Last Picture Show, and it looks like this cover. It looks like this cover was actually taken. I love seeing the grain on this cover, and it also comes with Texasville, Peter Bogdanovich's sequel, but people are complaining it's not the director's cut of Texasville, probably because they couldn't get a film element of that because they only finished the director's cut on video, which could be problematic. But anyway, maybe they'll have the deleted scenes. I don't know. But The Last Picture Show, one of the great 70s films, which really put Bogdanovich on the map, coming out in 4K. But the thing that I'm most excited about that makes my mouth water, Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven in 4K, one of the most beautiful movies ever made, coming out in 4K. You go, Criterion. This is something I've wanted. It's coming out. I hope the New World is soon to follow. Man, I want this on 4K. This will probably be, I expect this to be one of the releases of the year. Let's hope it's not orange and teal or something like that. I hope not, but it doesn't look that way from the cover. Go, Criterion. And then they're also putting out this Claude Chabrol movie, which I don't know, The Ceremony, with Isabelle Huppert. I mean, I'll get this. This is a strong release list from Criterion. So Days of Heaven, Mean Streets, The Last Picture Show, and this French film. Hey, man, I'm down with that. And they're also putting out this box set of Jackie Chan, early Jackie Chan movies, Emergence of a Superstar. And, it's tough, though, with all the other companies that are putting out, whether it's 88 Films or 101 Films or all the people that are putting out great editions of Asian martial arts and sci-fi and horror movies. I just get a little wary of even Criterion because, that box, the Bruce Lee box set, and then the 4K of Enter the Dragon. I don't know, but hey, I guess this is going to be probably a great set to get. Criterion's always good. They never let you down. Is it Severin? I think it's Severin. Yeah. I'm not sure. Anaconda. They're putting out the Anaconda collection. They've got a lot of good stuff they're putting out. But
wasn't it 88, Rob? 88
oh, pardon me. Yeah, this is 88 Films. That's why did I say Severin? I was talking about 88 Films. I meant to say 88 Films. 88 Films is putting out the Anaconda collection, which is fantastic if you like the Anaconda movies. They're also putting out a lot of really interesting stuff, which I just didn't pull up. But Anaconda, there you go. There's now a box set of the Halloween trilogy in 4K coming out with steelbooks, and I guess Halloween H2O is also part of this or something. I'm not.
It's just the new ones.
It's just the new ones. If you, I will not be buying this because I'm not a fan of those new movies. But hey, it's coming out. If you want it, hey. If you already bought Megan on Blu-ray, you're out of luck because hey, you have to buy it again. Here's the 4K unrated edition. It's also coming out. I don't like that. Paramount's been doing that a lot, but hey, it's coming out.
Yeah.
This is a really cool set. I'm excited for this. This is coming out. The Peter Cushing. It's kind of strange. It's got this is Severin, and Severin's putting out the Cushing Curiosities box set, And these are movies that, I mean, I really, to be honest, I don't think I've seen any of these. Well, actually, one of them I've seen because the House of Psychotic Women box set has the Elizabeth Taylor movie in it. But there's definitely some cool stuff to be had here. You've got a Dracula film, which he plays Dracula. Cushing himself plays Dracula. There's the Sherlock Holmes, the BBC series where Cushing played Sherlock Holmes. Cone of Silence. So, why not? Looks cool. I'll buy it. I love Peter Cushing. Then this they keep advertising this, the 2K of the Eureka 2K of the Louise Brooks Pandora's Box, the G.W. Pabst disc. We've shown this before, but they've detailed it. There's a lot of good stuff here. I can't wait to get this. I love this movie. I'm a huge Louise Brooks fan. Can't wait to get this. Very excited to get this. And it's Eureka, so it'll be a great set. They're kind of the Criterion of England. So why not? Then we've got Bob Clark's Death Dream, which has been known under a number of titles, including Dead of Night. This is coming out from Blue Underground. Bob Clark also directed Black Christmas and directed A Christmas Story. So Death Dream, here we go. Cool cover. Why not? Let's get this because it's awesome. And in terms of sales figures, so those are the movies I wanted to focus on and tell you that they were in fact coming out. So that's exciting. Now we go to our sales figures. So of the top 20, I'm only going to give you the top 10 because why would I give you the top 20? So these are the overall best sellers for the week. Guardians of the Galaxy is number 1. 1923 Yellowstone Origin Story Season 1 is number 2, which is crazy. John Wick 4 is number 3. The Super Mario Brothers. Oh, pardon me, I'm getting the wrong. The Super Mario Brothers is number 5. Avatar: The Way of Water, number 6. Enter the Dragon is number 7, which is interesting. It's not higher, but that shows you if a 4K catalog titles aren't always, if they're not something really spectacular, they don't always hit the top of the charts. Resident Evil Death Island, number 8. Number 9 is Kandahar, the action film that stars Jared Butler. And number 10 is Swamp Thing. So that's cool. Overall, which is cool. Go Swamp Thing. MVD. You go, boys. Here's the top-selling Blu-rays. Number 1's Fast X. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3 is 1923. Number 4 is John Wick Chapter 4. Number 5 is Super Mario Brothers. Number 6 is Enter the Dragon. Number 7 is Way of Water. Number 8 is Swamp Thing. Number 9 is Venture Brothers. And number 10 is Resident Evil Death Island. And then the top-selling 4K discs are Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 5, which mine's coming from Japan. Fast X is number 1. Guardians of the Galaxy is number 2. Enter the Dragon is number 3. So it's at the top of the 4K list almost. Swamp Thing is number 4. John Wick 4 is number 5. Super Mario Brothers is number 6. Avatar: Way of Water is number 7. Number 8 is Ender's Game. I didn't even know Ender's Game came out in 4K.
Yeah.
I like the book. Didn't know.
But probably Schnäppchen title.
How did I miss that? Mad Max Fury Road's number 9. And number 10 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I should have by next week, the Steelbook. So that is all the news that's fit to print. So there you go. But Rob,
you forgot the new one that Kino Lorber will put out. Have you not seen it?
The new one that Kino Lorber... Oh, did I miss it? Did I forget to put something? What is it?
The Ilsa movies, Rob, in 4K.
What?
Yeah, all 4 of them.
No.
Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
Wait a minute.
From Kino Lorber. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You should find them on their Facebook page. No.
Is it on their Facebook page?
Yeah, I would think so.
You can watch castrations in 4K? Wait a minute. How did I miss this? It wasn't on Blu-ray.com.
It's brand new. I got the news just before the show, an hour before the show, through an Instagram friend, through Dominic, I believe, was it.
Oh my God. Okay. I mean, I'm going to
believe it, Rob. Is Kino Lorber going Vinegar Syndrome? No.
Okay, hang on a second. Wow. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Ilsa, they're the grandmother of exploitation. Here, let me put this up so people know.
Yeah.
If people don't know who Diane Thorne is or what the Ilsa movies are, they're not in the best of taste. So here you go. Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, Ilsa the Tigress of Siberia, Ilsa Harem Keeper of the Oil Sheiks, and Greta the Mad Butcher, all played, of course, by Diane Thorne. And let's see what they say. Okay, here we go. Coming in 2024 to 4K UHD Blu-ray from Kino Cult, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Masters. So
Your dream has come true.
So Ilsa the Wicked Warden, also called Greta the Mad Butcher.
Yeah.
That was directed by Jess Franco. Ilsa Tigress of Siberia was directed by Jean Lafleur. And then Don Edmonds directed the first two, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, and Harem Keeper of the Oil Sheiks. And they are sold separately. So I guess there's no box set. Yeah. Wow. I mean, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS is a notorious video nasty. I think it was banned in the UK, wasn't it?
Probably.
Now, are you going to be able to get these? You're going to import these to Germany? A little Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, the most dreaded Nazi of them all?
You have to slip through customs, Rob, you know?
How are you going to do that?
But they will get through. If I order through Amazon, they will get through.
All right, then. Wow.
But I think I saw a picture of a box set, Rob, but I could be wrong. But I haven't dived into it because it was just an hour before we started the show that I was informed about the release of it.
Okay.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Or have you?
Kino Lorber Studio Classics officially says on this post, says we currently have no plans of doing a box set.
Okay.
And I love this. People are like, I've waited 35 years for this. Wow. So they got the rights. People are saying Kino's doing the Lord's work. The announcement of the year. I've never seen these, but I've always heard about them. You guys are going beyond amazing. Wow, I never thought I'd see this. Jason Rutherford says, what interviews do you have? If you need any, I've interviewed Don Edmonds, Dean Cundy, and Diane Thorne. So this is, hey, Kino Lorber, the unofficial sponsor of this channel. I didn't know you're doing this. And first of all, I don't know how excited we should get about this, because we'll get canceled if we're too excited. I mean, these are some fine vintage exploitation titles. I mean, sex, violence, misandry in the best way. Love it. I'll have to get them all. I don't know what Elizabeth. I'm like, hi Elizabeth. Why don't we watch Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, for whining about movies?
Make a nice interviews about it.
We'll do that.
A 4 series.
That'll just be amazing. So that's crazy. So there you go.
Are we caught up, Rob?
We're caught up. We just have I know you need to go to bed, don't you? Because you have an early day.
Early shift, but I won't forget the live chat, Rob. I know it's dreadful for you, but I will go through the live chat. But don't worry, it's not that long.
Hang on. We've still got some super chats I want to hit, though.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Super chats.
World in Pajamas. That's Tracy. That's Science Lady. She writes, Hey, Robin Dieter, it's me, Science Lady. I want the song PJ and Bananas coming downstairs. Who remembers singing that in primary school? I don't know the song PJ and Bananas. I don't know. Did you have that in primary school? Was that a European thing?
No. Don't.
Well, Tracy, we're going to have you sing it.
Doesn't ring a bell.
David Crabtree. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. But I'll do anything that Tracy tells me to do. She's Science Lady. David Crabtree sends in a tip and says, Happy Physical Media Sunday. Here are my recent pickups. the Blu-ray Steelbook of Masters of the Universe from Spain. I've seen that Steelbook. It's cool.
Yeah.
4Ks of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, which are great. And Flash Gordon and the Masters of the Universe Steelbook is gorgeous.
Nice.
Those 4Ks that you picked up are all great-looking 4Ks, too. So well done, David. How's your comic book coming? Alexander Wilson says, Rob, you have to see Barbie. I've seen Barbie. It's really good. I thought it was good. On a video, you said it was anti-man. I was like, when you see the movie, you will know that isn't the case. I said it was anti-man before I've seen it. I maybe was dissuaded from it. But yeah, I didn't feel... Look, I did not feel that the satire in the movie was anti-man. It was, it had a lot to say. A lot more to say than I thought. I was very surprised at actually what Barbie actually is. So it's quite a great film, I think. A World in Pajamas says, with regards to the Peter Cushing box set, does it have 1984? I believe he starred in it. I've never watched it, but it's supposed to be good. I'd love to see it. The 1984 stars John Hurt. That 1984 with the Eurythmics song. Okay. I don't know if it has. I don't think it has Peter Cushing.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. But yes, we are all caught up now, sir. So if you want to take away the live chat.
Yeah. Then I will jump through the live chat a little quickly. Previously on Let's Get Physical Media. Video under D. Dieter is back from strike. Did Rob agree to pay him a living wage and not use AI? Dieter. He's working on it.
Yeah.
Video under D. On the AI. Peter Cunnington. I don't think physical media will really ever go away, but you'll have to order it specifically online. I think we are already doing that already, Peter. Adventure Square. You have to watch both Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day to transcend the experience. Lord Hoth. I love my massive HD DVD collection. Got literally hundreds of them for $1. I buy that for $1. The Slickness EDM. My favorite movie. No joke. Red Sonja. Okay. The Alex Sorba, Dieter gets no more days off. Physical media is 24/7, 365 days. Conto 007, good to see Dieter back. Irene Jobson, Mr. Big is Dieter's strip club name. Irene, come on. No Money G. Back during the format wars, I was pulling for Toshiba, much cheaper than Blu-rays at the time. I already had an eye out on that French Miss 45 edition, but it was not available a few weeks ago. But I wanted, look, Alpenthal, it should be available. The Slickness EDM again. Who's the German? I got to sub that dude. Why the Slickness? There is no content on my nut channel. Roman Trooper, Dieter needs a good microphone. I'm still using the lavalier mic. People, if you don't like the sound, tell me in the comments. Then I will switch back to the old one. But for me, it's just I'm more free this way to show stuff. I don't have the big tank mic in front of me. But if the sound is not good enough for you, I will switch back to the old one. Guy Newbie, the UK gets better box sets, but I wish we could get Kino Lorber and Scream Factory 4Ks here. To live and die in LA cost me £40 on eBay. Guy, couldn't you order it online through Amazon and be a little bit under £40? Why go to eBay? Vibe have Earth 1. Dieter will like Lagan for sure, because we had the letter about the cricket and I wasn't sure what he was talking about. And Terry did a little research for me. It's a Indian movie about cricket, musical, epic biopic or something like that. I'm not sure why I have Earth on if Lagan will be for me. Malaki, who did send in the letter. Thank you for reading my letter. You are right, there are 6 movies in the Columbia set. My 6th film would be Age of Innocence, because he gave us only 5 for the set that you would like to see next. Las Plagueis, 2001 is my all-time favorite movie. It's a transcendent experience made by the master of film. Conto 7, Rob, when are we getting Commando in 4K Dolby Atmos? I have no idea, but since Bray from 20th Studio gets a release...
That's a Fox movie. Commando's Fox.
Oh, yeah. But isn't it available even on Disney Plus? I have no idea. South London Reseller. Rob is a hard taskmaster. Strange New Worlds is the best prequel TV show ever. There, I said it. Nope, I'm just reading here. Okay. Gator G. I love the Campia Exposed channel. We all do.
Okay, I just want to point out that person just said that Star Trek Strange New Worlds is better than Better Call Saul. I'm just pointing that out. You said it, I didn't. Strange New Worlds is a better show than Better Call Saul. Just saying.
Unbelievable. Altmetall, so you forgot the announcement for the Hellraiser 4K? No, I don't think so, Altmetall. As far as I remember, we did show the Hellraiser.
We did.
Probably 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
I don't think we forgot
did
the announcement. My friend Tim Hens, Eden Lake, such a nasty, grim ending. Exactly, Tim. Exactly. I forgot to chime in at that super chat from Scott Bartholomew. Pros and cons of physical media versus Voodoo, because actually I'm using Voodoo through my VPN. For me, it's nice to get something on the digital platform earlier. Especially, I bought Joyride Rob because Joyride will be released here, I think, in 2 weeks in the theaters. So for me to get something a little bit early, that's great for me. But I will be buying Joyride. And what it did Drew Rob to doing editing movies, Drew Gordon knows the answer. Editing is magic.
It is magic.
That's the answer. Charlie the Unicorn. Dieter, they called lot lizards in the USA women working drug stops considering Candyland. The Richard was in the chat. Let's do a crowdfunder for a watch party of Free Enterprise. He says to the Burnettwork and to other people, of course, Richard, you had to crowdfund. Why else would you watch Free Enterprise?
Oh my God!
Hot take.
You're out. You're out. You're lucky I don't 86 you from this chat. Maybe you'll come around. Maybe you'll learn.
Blue Rocks. Rob, I rather watch 50 times Free Enterprise than Killshot one time again.
I don't know if that's such a good thing.
Blue Rock 7001. Any updates on Free Enterprise Remaster, re-edit? We get that question.
Oh, unfortunately not. You know, I wish I could give somebody good news, but unfortunately not. No.
Justin Toner. Dieter loves interacting with the live chat. It's appreciated. Thomas Logan. DB is a man of the people, and the Alex Sorba. And the people all love Dieter. Oh, I'm not sure about it. And the Alex Sorba says, I like Attack of the Dog, but I love Free Enterprise. Baby.
Oh, well, thank you.
There you go, Rob.
See, I get the love. Thanks.
Yeah. No, I'm
Can you
trying
feel
to
the love tonight?
It out. Yeah, I'm trying to balancing it out. Tom Jr. Jackson. I don't mind motion smoothing. Come on, Tom.
What?
And Samir.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
our moderator says I don't mind motion smoothing.
Unbelievable, you know. And Samir Siddiqui, motion smoothing. Does Campia even like movies? I have no idea. Altmetall, I'm curious about Little Drummer Girl. I also searched for it and found it nowhere. Altmetall, I bought the Little Drummer Girl set with the 4K and director's cut on eBay. It is a Korean release, but it's not available at the usual Korean stores. It was some kind of special release. I bought it on eBay. Where we? Okay, Rob, I'm through. I'm through with the live chat. Like I said, also not that long.
No, that was pretty good. I didn't even yawn once.
Yeah, lucky me.
Irene Jobson says that she loves Dieter, Rob, and Tom, and everyone.
And I would say
I love that about
nice.
Irene.
I would say this is a nice segment because people have early shift tomorrow. So my night is a little bit cut short and I say, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. I want to thank Tom Jr. Jackson for being the moderator that he is.
Who just says, Rob, he was be trolling with the quote.
Oh, he's trolling. Okay, well, that I think he's just saying that now to like save face. But I want to thank him for being a great moderator. Lord Toth, I would like to thank Lord Toth for moderating. Thank you, Lord Toth. And I want to thank all of you for generously supporting this channel via Super Chats, tips, and memberships. We will have a member call next week, which are always fun to do. And, you know, if you become a member of the channel and you've never done a member chat, you should come. Not that I don't love seeing everybody on the member chats, but it's always the same people. And there's so many people that are members of this channel that I haven't met.
Yeah.
And I'd love to meet you all and hear what
and
you have to say.
And it's more private thing, Rob.
It's it is a private thing.
Don't need to be shy.
Don't
be
shy.
Private thing with you.
It's true.
You alone.
So we did get a new member this show. So hey, I do want to thank Kino Lorber. I want to thank everybody at Warner Archive for supporting this channel the way they do. Thank you so much. You guys are bringing the fire, bringing the heat, and all of the boutique companies that we like, whether it's Severin or Blue Underground or Second Sight or Umbrella or Indicator or Radiance or 88 Films or 101 or Shout or Criterion. You all know who you are. We love
Turbine.
you. Movie Addict Matt says, long live physical media, formerly Brewies with Matt. Brewies with Matt. You change your name to Movie Addict Matt. I kind of like Brewies, though. Maybe you stopped drinking. I know I have, at least for a while. I'll be back on the sauce soon enough. But, you know, I got to get all svelte. One day I'm going to meet Irene Jobson, and I want to look good. But on that note, everybody, we will see you next week. And there'll be your observations later today and a new episode of Architects of Imagination. And we are done, sir.